Hello, everybody. I'm gonna wait a minute for everyone to get in here. Bear with me. I'm gonna set my phone down, so I'll wait about a minute or two. I look a mess. It's 10:15 at night, so yeah, just deal with it, and just let me know if you can hear me okay, and if the sound is coming in good. If the sound's not coming in good, let me know. But I'm gonna wait a few minutes and wait for everyone to get on before I say anything, and if no one shows up, that's perfectly fine too. And you guys will eventually see this live. Actually, I think I can check from here if it's making any sound. Okay, yeah, it's making sound. I'm good. And it looks like I already have some haters and people that don't like me, which is typically normal of those type of people. Okay, so it's 10:15, and I'm just gonna kind of just jump right into this. Hold on, let me try to angle this like this. This will work better. Probably not. Probably won't work. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to angle my phone a little bit better. Okay, I think that'll work. So I have been meaning to make this video for a while. I'm looking at my screen right here, but I'm gonna kind of take my time with this. And yes, some of my nails are missing. I gotta get this done. What I wanted to say is first regarding Demcad, and a video that I had seen of him, and it was something in the video that bothered me, and I'm gonna kind of bring this full circle. So I don't remember which video it was on his channel, because he has been making content for about 12 years. And sorry, I'm looking at his page trying to see if I can find the video, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. But he's been making content for about 12 years from what it looks like. One of the first few videos that he put on his page did not address prepping. The first few videos that he put on his page was videos addressing women and relationships between men and women, particularly husband and wife. Is marriage good for men? Men who hit women, the whole 9 yards, which I have not watched these videos. But it was one random video that I clicked of his that I'll never forget. And the chances of me ever finding this video again is probably slim to none, because he has so many videos on his channel. But I will never forget when I clicked on a video of his, and he had mentioned his mother. He had mentioned something about his mother and how he grew up. And he seemed seemingly happy in the video. But as soon as he mentioned his mother, it was like, or something that his mother did, it was as if his whole expression, his demeanor, it had changed to seem, it seemed that his whole demeanor had changed to be more annoyed, and agitated, kind of maybe angry from what I had saw, because the tone of his voice had changed. And he was talking about something that his mom did or did not do when he was growing up. And I don't know Demcad personally. I don't have a personal relationship with him. But the one thing, if I could talk to Demcad and tell him anything, is I will tell him that, hey, if there is some animosity or anger he has towards his mother, I would tell him that, whatever anger or animosity that you have towards your mother, you need to let that go. And I'm not coming from the perspective of someone who had the greatest mom in the world, okay? like a lot of other Black people, I had a similar situation, raised by a single mother who, for years, I felt like could have done a way better job in raising me and did a way better job of the things that she did. And for years, I had harbored a lot of anger towards my mother. It's like, why weren't you doing this? Why weren't you feeding me? Why did you make me eat noodles? Why would you just throw chicken and not cook actual meals? Why didn't you, buy me clothes like you were supposed to? What were you doing with the child support? What were you doing with those disability checks that you were getting? What were you doing? Because I have rage like that. Hi, Dimcad. But anyways, I have rage like that, towards my mother. And I realized that, we bash and give single mothers a hard time. But being a single mom and raising kids is hard. Like, being a single mom and raising kids is hard. And the fact that more women don't get abortions and don't just leave their kids at the hospital, or don't just abandon their kids at the Department of Human Services for the state to take care of them, or just throw them in foster care, is just, surprising to me. It's just because it's hard. I have friends who are single mothers, and I'm not going to go into much of my personal life, but me being married and a parent, it is hard for me, being a married woman with a husband, to take care of children. So for a woman or a man who's a single father to take care of kids by themselves, it's kind of hard. It's really hard. I have talked to married couples who have money. They struggle with taking care of kids. But again, Demcat, I saw your comment. I'm not trying to come at you or attack you or anything. It was just that one video that I saw. And I noticed that, when you had mentioned your mother, something that your mother had did. April, can you do me a favor? These knuckleheads in the comment section, can you tell them to chill out? Don't block them. But the knuckleheads who want to get smart, do not block them. Just tell them to chill out, because I don't feel like I'm not going to get distracted today. But anyways, Demcat, I know you're listening, but all I'm saying is that when I saw that one video, and I'm honestly, to God, I am probably never going to find that video again, but you were talking about something with your mom, and I saw your demeanor just change when you mentioned your mom or something that your mom did that agitated you. And again, okay, I'm not going to say that you were agitated, but I just noticed the change in the tone of your voice and the look in your face when you were talking about that particular situation with your mom. And again, I'm not saying that you are angry at your mom. I'm just saying that I just noticed that. And I just want people to know that I don't think we should be giving single moms a hard time, even if they made those mistakes, because being a parent is really hard. And I'm going to say it like this. With a lot of mothers, I have heard of women having children just so they can sell them or put them into sexual slavery. I mean, no joke. I did a anti-human trafficking course. And when I did this anti-human trafficking course, it did go into a lot of detail about how there are actual parents that will have their kids just so they can use them for sexual purposes. I'll let you know. I will let you know, April, who to block. So I just don't want anyone to give them a hard time. And this is going to I just wanted to start off with that, because this is going to kind of lead into the MGTOW manosphere incel thing, the child support thing, the whole 9 yards. And I don't want this to be too long. Or this is going to be however long that I feel like this is going to be. Because I want to be careful what I say, because I don't want to come off as judgmental. But a lot of the guys that I've noticed in the MGTOW manosphere incels, particularly if they are Black, to produce negative outcomes for children. Therefore, I think we should encourage two-parent households. Dimcat, I agree. I agree that we should encourage two-parent households. I'm traditional. I believe that, and I'm a Christian, if you don't know, I believe that a man should be the head of his house, the king of his castle, and he should be in charge. But in order to be the king of your castle, you have to be financially stable enough to be the king of the castle. I don't believe that it's going to be easy for a woman to respect her husband and have him lead if she has to pay half of the bills. Um, and a lot of times, being black, you don't grow up in a two-parent household. It's just you might have your dad that pops in and out, in and out, in and out, but when you're black, you're just I didn't grow up in a two-parent household. Like, my parents were not together. They were never married. But that's what I'm saying. If you don't want to be on child support, don't run around making babies. But let me go into the MGTOW minister incel child support thing. So let me tell you guys something. I have been on Facebook. I'm not Facebook. I have been on YouTube since I was in middle school. And when I was started on YouTube back when I was in middle school, I will say this. There was a man named Sergeant Willie Pete, and I will tell you right now from my experience, Sergeant Willie Pete is the original manosphere, MGTOW, incel, whatever you want to call it. He's the original one. And that was like 15 years ago. I've almost hit quote unquote the wall. I almost hit quote unquote the wall. I'm almost 30 years old. And he's been complaining about women, and I've been listening to him for complaining about women for the past 15 years. And he had made a post recently, in his community section on one of these manosphere guys had opened up about a lot of the rage that he had. And a lot of the rage that he had it started with his mother. And I would assume that he grew up in a single parent household. And the thing that bothers me the most is when people attack their mothers and single moms. It's just that, at least your mom tried. And I'm not going to say there aren't certain things that your parents should be accountable for, especially if they're abusing you or sexually abusing you or beating you and putting bruises on you. I'm not saying they shouldn't be accountable for that. But for every other little thing that people might nitpick with, it's just like, okay, your mom is there and your mom is trying. And if your mom is, whether she's a stripper or a prostitute, even my husband explained this to me. My husband was just like, I used to look down on women being strippers and prostitutes. But then my husband had came to me and he was like, sweetheart, bottom line is the mom that's a stripper or a prostitute is still trying to provide for her child, still trying to provide a life for her child. But, she's going out and doing what she needs to do to provide for her child. And so they can have a life. And the thing that he brought to my attention was that if the father of that child cared enough about the mother being a stripper and setting that type of example for the child or prostitute, then why doesn't he come in and help? And this is going to go into the child support thing. Okay. This is going to go into the child support thing. On Facebook, I have a lot of guy friends from high school who pay child support. And I was talking to my neighbor, and this is what she told me. And I'm kind of jumping all around because I have so much on my mind that I need to get out. But she said that she had paid every 2 weeks $300 for her insurance for her and her two girls. And so that's a lot of money. Now, that's just for the insurance. That didn't include any of her other bills. And she couldn't get welfare because she made too much money. But she still didn't make enough money to where she could live comfortably and move out of whatever situation that she was in with her daughters. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, you work a 9 to 5. You're fortunate to have your mother help you with the girls. But what if you didn't have your mother? Because I don't have that type of support for me and my children. I have to pay for daycare if you know what I'm saying, if I get off of work and I can't get my kids. Where I live, just for a few hours of after school care for 2 kids, that's $400 a week. So if I worked a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and the kids get out at 3, but I can't pick them up until 6, the after school care for 2 kids would be $400 a week. So you guys can do the math on how much money that is a month. It's close to $2,000 a month in daycare. Daycare is not expensive. So on top of that, imagine if I had to pay for insurance. Insurance was not cheap. That's not cheap either. So we're just talking medical insurance and daycare alone. That doesn't include any of the other expenses when it comes to children, especially if it's 2. 1 is expensive. 2 is just a lot of money. So when I hear a man that's paying $600 a week in child support or $200 a month in child support or $300 a month in child support or $36 out of every single paycheck and complaining about child support, you know, it bothers me because it's like, you made a child, okay, and you have to help pay for said child, okay? I'm pretty confident that the mom can take care of her own living expenses and everything else on her own, but now she has to factor in said child. And I have heard stories of men trying to get full custody of the kids because they didn't want to pay child support, but it's not any cheaper. It's not any cheaper raising the kids opposed to paying child supports. Like, what I honestly, I've had nights where I have cried in bed and I'm just like, you know, some of these guys complaining about $200 a month in child support. I have nights where I've cried in bed and I'm like, I wish I could just pay $200 a month in child support and not have to come or feel like I don't have to come and see my kids or do whatever, you know? But I've heard, and the thing that bothers me also with the child support issue is that my father paid his child support, volunteered to pay extra child support, still took us out, still bought us stuff, and he never complained. He never complained. So when I hear men complaining about child support, and even women too, it just baffles me. You know, it's just like, how much do you think you should be paying? You know, what, you got to figure something out for these kids. You know, what do you feel like you should be doing? And a lot of guys think, oh, I was doing what I was supposed to do as a father. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, a lot of them didn't have a father. So they think whatever they're doing is sufficient, even though they didn't have a father. And a lot of my guy friends that I know from high school, they didn't have a father. So they think that whatever they're doing is sufficient. You know? And another thing that also bothers me, because the child support thing is like the pinnacle of like MGTOW, manosphere, incel. Well, not, I wouldn't say incels. If you're involuntary celibate, I don't think you'd probably be on child support. But more like MGTOW, manosphere, incels. I kind of all lump them together. But another thing with them is just, you know, the rage that they have. It's like, if you've been on YouTube for 15 years or 12 years or whatever, and you've been raging about the same thing, I don't think YouTube is, to me, is just not the place. You know, it's okay to come up here and network because I think men need a place to talk and vent and be angry or whatever. But it's just like, a lot of them are building their lives and building houses on top of this anger. And yeah, I don't know much about Crystalline Karazen. I don't really watch her, but I know who she is, but I don't really watch her. But they're building these walls on these anger because they're angry about their childhood. They're angry that they've been rejected. And the guy, Sergeant Willie Pete, man, I went to his channel and I was just like, look, dude, you know, you have been doing this for a very long time. And he considers himself a high value man. And I'm just like, if Sergeant Willie Pete is an example of a high value man, then I don't want one. I don't want my daughter to have one. I don't want any of the women in my family to have one. I don't even want any of my future grandchildren to have one. Because for me to be 29 years old And my best friend back in middle school introduced me to Sergeant Willie Pete's channel. And now I'm almost 30, been graduated high school, been graduated middle school, been graduated college. For me to almost be 30 years old, and this guy is still like raging and angry and just, I'm just like, dude, you gotta let this go and get help. And then when he called himself a high value man, it's just like, if nobody wants to be around someone who's raging and angry, and nobody wants to deal with that. And in all honesty, you know, what's being taught in the manosphere is what I'm hearing is just like, you know, pump it and dump it. I keep hearing pump it and dump it, pump it and dump it, pump it and dump it. And I'm just like, okay, you might be able to pump it and dump it, but it's just like, I think a lot of those guys are just hurt, and they really just deep down inside want a solid, stable relationship. And that's what I think. They just want a solid, stable relationship. They want someone to love them, and they're hurt because of something happened to them, and their heart is broken. And honestly, as a woman, I've had my heart broken, but, you know, as a woman, you deal with that stuff. But I think when it comes to men, when men get their hearts broken, things like the manosphere and MGTOW and incels happen. And the other problem that I have is that, you know, when I see guys get upset about, you know, a woman not smiling at them, or a woman being rude to them, or them constantly getting rejected by women. Like, there was this one incel that I saw, like, we'll start with Elliot Rogers. Elliot Rogers wanted to kill blonde-haired, blue-eyed white women because he couldn't figure out why they didn't want him. And I'm just like, a woman is not obligated to talk to you. Like, the only woman that's really obligated to you to do anything for you is your mother when you're a minor, and your wife. Those are the only two people that are obligated to you. And maybe your kids, if you have daughters or something like that. But to get upset because a woman didn't talk to you or give you their time, or feel like you have the right to go and kill someone just because they won't date you or they won't have sex with you, to me, it's, I don't think the word is narcissistic. I guess that's narcissistic, but maybe that's psychopathic. Like, to get angry at women because they don't want you. You know, that to me is just, it's just psychopathic. You know, it's just, to me, it's psychopathic. Especially if you're willing to go to the extent to where you will kill a complete stranger's daughter. You know, it was another incel that was planning on killing thousands of girls just because nobody wanted him. And I'm just like, dude, chill out. You know, and then some men, they actually get money, but they can't keep a woman, or they think, you know, with Elliot Rogers, I believe he had money, but he couldn't figure out why girls didn't want him. And I'm just like, having money, yeah, we women, at bare minimum, we want men who are providers and who have money, you know, but that's only like a small, that's, to me, that's like the bare minimum of the battle. Like, yeah, we want men with money, we want men who are providers, but we also want men with good personalities, and that are fun to be around, and that are not making us miserable. Like, what is that guy's name? Dan Bilzerian or something like that? He's quote unquote a high value man. No, to me, he's a high earning Dusty. Dan Bilzerian is a high earning Dusty to me, because he just has a lot of money. But from what I've heard about him and the stuff that he does, he treats women like shit. He treats people like shit. He's a liar. And especially, I think he lied about being a Navy SEAL. And just a whole array of stuff. But another thing that I'm going to say is that, from what I've heard, is that, and from what I've experienced, I think there's a class action lawsuit that's coming for a lot of these manosphere men and these manosphere guys. Because this is what I've heard. I have a strong feeling, I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling that Nyla, I don't know if you guys know her, but Nyla, it's a woman named Nyla. She's getting women together who have either had death threats or have been harassed by a lot of these manosphere men, incels, and MGTOW guys. I personally haven't been threatened, only because I don't typically talk about these issues to attract those type of people to my channel. So if one of you want to come in this video and try to give me a death threat or something like that, if she is filing a lawsuit, then best believe if I have to follow suit, then I will be too. So just to let you know that if you threaten me. But the thing that I've noticed is that this is something that Charles Tyler had told me. I don't know if you guys know who Charles Tyler is, but there's a lot of things that I know about the deceased Charles Tyler and him getting black men to go to Brazil that I have kept to myself out of respect for the fact that this man is no longer a part of the land of the living. But I will tell you one thing that he told me that I don't think anyone else knows about Tommy Sotomayor. So a long time ago, Tommy Sotomayor had did a video on a woman where her children had died in a burning fire, and Tommy just made this horrible video berating her, saying crazy things about, black single mothers letting your kids die in a fire. And Charles Tyler had told me why he did not like Tommy Sotomayor. He told me what was the straw that broke the camel's back. He told me that the young lady that had her children had died in the fire, and it was I believe it was her newborn baby that had died in the fire. She did not live far from him, and that from what I understand, to some extent, he knew the young lady personally. And the young lady had went psychotic because she tried to run back into the fire to get her kids, but they would not let her. And that when the fire had started, she was not even home. It was someone else watching her children that had fell asleep. I believe it was a grandparent. And Tommy had when he had made his video, he had said a lot of stuff that was not true. And I know that video is no longer up because Tommy has had multiple channels and had multiple channels taken down. But that is a common thing that I have noticed with a lot of the manosphere, MGTOW, incel people, is that, they'll grab random videos of women, especially on the internet, and they will slander them and they will commit libel against them and they will lie on them in front of large audiences of 10,000 people live and over 100,000 views on the videos. And what bothered me about that is that was not the first time that it happened. So you guys know I stay in my lane pretty much in the prepping community on YouTube, but I don't know if I can find it in my email, but there are 3 young ladies on YouTube who are on the prepping community. That there's this one guy who still makes videos. He's one of the MGTOW guys. He had used video and pictures of these 3 women that I know or that I communicate with here on YouTube, and he had just lied on them and called them single mothers and said that they had multiple kids by multiple men and just said a whole bunch of horrible stuff and used their videos and pictures. And what I did was I commented under his video, and I had told him under his video, like, you need to take this video down because a lot of the stuff that you're saying is not true. And this guy's name, I actually found the emails. His name is Darius Media Network. That's what he called himself. Darius Media Network. So I had commented on this video, which the video is now gone. But the 3 people that he talked about, I don't think I should say their names. I don't think I want to say their names. But I will say one name. One of them is Strong Mommy Chrissy. And the other one was, hold on. No. Okay, so let me correct myself. At the time, I don't believe Strong Mommy Chrissy was a single mother. I believe she did have her husband that she was married to. But the bottom line is that one of these women, they were married. And I'm looking at these old emails that I had sent them with the link in the video. But bottom line is that he was saying a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't true. I commented underneath the video. I told him, you said this, and this that wasn't true. And I emailed each woman and let them know, hey, this is what he said. Here's the link to the video. I think you need to go talk to him because he's defaming you. And this man now has like 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. So shortly after that, after I emailed all 3 of them, they said, okay, we'll deal with it. And less than like a day or two later, I think, he took the video down. And then that was the second time. It was another time, I can't remember, but it was a third time where I had an incident where, you know, these guys were putting stuff out that wasn't true. And honestly, with how long this has been going on and how abusive some of these guys are with the death threats, you know, I mean, I've had a death threat up here on YouTube. It was actually a Hebrew Israelite guy. He said that he was going to, he said he was going to kill me. And I, you know, at first, when I first got on YouTube and he told me he was going to kill me, you know, I was just like, I was nervous at first, but then I'm just like, I wish he would come to this house and try something so I can put holes in him, because I carry my 9mm with me everywhere I go. I got pepper spray, I got tasers, I got bullets for days, I got rifles, I got knives, I got bats, I got a sword. So I don't have brass knuckles, but I need to get some brass knuckles. But yeah, go ahead and threaten me and come to my house and try and do something and see what happens to you if you give me a death threat, because I don't play, excuse my French, but I don't play that shit. I don't normally cuss, but let me tell you what happened to me recently. Like, with these MGTOW guys don't understand what they're doing. It's even negatively affecting me to the point where I have, like, when I see a man in public, the first thing that's on my mind is, you know, is he MGTOW? Is he incel? Is he manosphere? That's the first thing that's on my mind, you know? And if I get any tiny hint that he's MGTOW or manosphere, then the way that I treat him is just completely thrown off. And I know it shouldn't be that way, but it's just like the stuff that I see from these guys on the internet and the things that they say and just how vile it is and how pedophilic it is from the stuff that I've seen in comment sections. It's just like, I don't want to give them any room. Like, let me tell you what happened. I had this young guy. I was on the sidewalk. He said something smart to me. I called him a punk. He jumped over the fence. And when he jumped over the fence, this young guy, he couldn't have been more than 19, 20 years old. He walks up to me like he was like, what did you say? And I'm like, I called you a punk. And he walked up on me like he was going to do something to me. And I'm like, I pulled out my pepper spray. And as soon as I pulled out my pepper spray, he backed up and his whole tune changed and he jumped right back over that fence. And I told my uncle what happened, and you know what my uncle had said? My uncle was just like, you should have shot him. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, not over something that silly. But I had told the young guy, I was just like, if my brother was here or my uncle was standing next to me and my dad, you would not have done that. And you know, he said to me, he was like, go get him. I'm like, sweetheart, you don't want that. You do not want that. You don't want to have to deal with them. Like, my father boxed in high school and fought for a living in high school. My uncle been jumped and fought off people after being jumped. My brother, it was in the Marines. So you just don't want that. But all I'm trying to get at here is that how I personally feel about everything is that I think we're just giving single moms a hard time. I feel like a lot of the rage in the manosphere and the MGTOW movement comes from single moms. And the thing that bothers me the most is that it's like when I hear this particular guy on YouTube, and I'm not going to say his name, but he has 1 million subscribers. He rates people a 3 and a 7 or whatever. When I hear him talk and tell these women that they should lower their standards, or you're a 7, or you shouldn't expect to get this, I'm just like, first of all, when you have children, why would a woman who's a single mom just be a cum dumpster for just random men? Like, you're basically telling single moms, don't ever expect to get any better because you're a single mom. You have baggage. You're damaged goods. You don't deserve any better. You don't deserve a high value man. So you might as well just settle for being a side chick or having a Pookie and Ray Ray sitting on your couch and sleeping on your couch. And I'm just like, that's ridiculous. You know, the fact that you have children should make you want to do better in life. But Dimcat, did you get what I was saying about, you know, I mean, I don't know your relationship with your mom, but the video that I saw of you, And I wish I could find it so I could show you what I'm talking about, but you have so many videos that I don't think I'll be able to find it. But the video that I saw of you, I just remember you mentioning something about your mom, and then all of a sudden your whole tune and everything else just changed when I saw the video. And maybe I misinterpreted it, but I could have misinterpreted it. But I felt like, I know that you said that you love your mom, because I love my mom too. But I love my mom, and I still had like a lot of pent up rage against her because of a lot of the stuff that I went through. But I just didn't know what was going on there in your particular situation, and it kind of bothered me because the way I think about things is just like, you know, we put all this stress and this pressure on these women who have to work 40 hours a week. Working 40 hours a week is hard enough. And I'm not talking about you this time, Dimcat. I'm just saying. Yeah. I wish I could find the video, but it's probably going to take me like forever to like sift through all the videos again, because I think you have like 2,600 videos. Yeah, it's a lot of videos. But I'm saying that I feel like we put a lot of pressure on single moms because, you know, I've worked 40 hours a week. I work 40 hours a week. And working 40 hours a week is hard. So I hear guys saying, oh, you know, women just sit at home and just can relax and do nothing. I'm just like, if single moms, when they got home after work, really just came home and just sat down and did absolutely nothing, then a lot of them would not have psychotic breakdowns. Like, there's a lot of single moms that wish they could come home and sit down and do absolutely nothing and not be stressed out. But it is a full-time job taking care of kids and rearing children. And my biggest thing is that if your mom is struggling, where is your father? You know, why are we not asking where is the father? If we believe that the fathers have just as much rights to these children, where are the fathers? Yeah, Yahweh is on the way. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. I just don't want to say his name. But my name, well, I'm not going to say my name. I shouldn't say that. The woman that I was talking to, she was telling me, you know, the price of how much it cost her for medical care. And she got fortunate because she had her mother to help her. And I had asked her, I'm like, why don't you ask your children's fathers for help? And a lot of these single moms, it's not like they're kicking men outside of the house or out of the house. It's like, I know single moms where it's just like they have begged and begged and begged. And the lady I was talking to, she was just like, you know, I have begged him for 18 years to help me. I have begged him. I have told him that I needed help for 18 years, and I couldn't get the help. And she said that's why I never bothered filing child support for 18 years, because I knew I was never going to get it because he didn't have it. And I told her, you know, I don't understand how you can get yourself together and have money and take care of 2 girls by yourself, and he cannot get himself together. And then the same thing with her other daughter. She said for the past 8 years, she has been begging him to help, begging him to help, begging him to help. And I know you guys are 100% correct. You know, she should have, whatever you want to say, she should have chose better, or, you know, she should have kept her legs closed. But, I mean, she was on birth control. She was on birth control and using contraceptives, and they worked for an extremely long time. And the birth control didn't work. And that's how she got pregnant a second time. So, sorry, I'm looking at something. I'm looking at your comments on my computer screen as well. But the birth control didn't work. She got pregnant again. But the bottom line is, despite her actions, I hear men say, well, these women need to be held accountable for their actions. These women need to be held accountable for their actions. And I'm just like, what more accountability can you take for your actions by working 40 hours a week, paying for daycare, paying for food, clothing your child, having sleepless nights getting up with the child, going up to the school with the kids when they get sick, taking care of the kids when they get sick? It's like, what more accountability do you need? And then when I hear men complain about child support, it's like, well, And this is what Charles Tyler told me. I had asked Charles Tyler, how would you feel if child support was abolished? And he had told me that he did not support child support being abolished, because if child support is abolished, he had told me that there's no accountability factor. And let me tell you guys another sad story. Another sad story I want to let you know is that I was talking to this 80-year-old guy who came up to my job. And he wanted to buy something, but he couldn't because he was paying back child support. And I'm like, this man is 80 years old and he's paying back child support. When he was 60 years old, from what he told me, he got a 29-year-old woman pregnant. And he had, I believe, 4 other kids by 3 different women before he even got the 29-year-old pregnant. And now he's 80 years old. He can't work. He's had multiple heart attacks, strokes, 4 different cancers. They took all of stimulus checks. They take all of his money for the back child support that he owes. And what's bothering me the most is that a lot of these guys that are running away, you'll never get that back. Yeah, but a lot of these guys who are running away from child support right now, it's just like, while you're young and you're healthy, try to work and try and pay it. Try to work and try and pay your child support, because there's going to come a time where you're not going to be able to work. Like this 80-year-old man that came into my job, and he can't work because of all his medical issues, and he's barely even surviving. And I want to feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's like, what about those children that you had that you were not there for them? I mean, I don't know what the relationship was. The only thing I know about him is that he didn't pay his child support. He's paying back child support for his 21-year-old son. And his other kids, I believe he was also paying back child support. And his other kids, he was 80 years old and he was never married. And so another thing that bothers me is when I hear they say that we women are going to die alone. Let me tell you something. I have talked to hospice nurses, VA nurses, ICU nurses, nursing home, assisted living nurses, and this is what they tell me. That the man will have a stroke, and the nurses have to wipe his behind because the family doesn't want anything to do with him, because he didn't cultivate those relationships with the family. I have heard so many stories of these old men in these places. Dimcad, I'm going to die. Dimcad, you're single? I didn't know you were single. Maybe I could introduce you to my best friend. She's really sweet. I'm being serious, Dimcad. She's actually on this live right now. I don't know if she wants to say anything. But you guys are probably close in age. But Dimcad, how old are you? Are you close to my age? I'm 29. Dimcad, are you there? Is Dimcad there? You're 39? That's not that bad. That's just a 10-year gap. If it's within 10 years, it's fine. Maybe I can introduce you to my best friend. I can probably see if she's interested. Because, that's the other thing. Like, if you go on, like, dating sites, 39 is not old. Don't say that. If you go on, like, dating websites, I'm hearing stories of women asking men that, on these dating sites, do you listen to Kevin Samuels? And if they say that if you listen to Kevin Samuels, then, the woman is not going to talk to you. And I feel like a lot of advice that these MGTOW, incel, manosphere guys are giving is going to screw a lot of men out of decent women and good opportunities because I know my friend doesn't like me to talk about this, but I'm just gonna try and be as general as possible. But but she was the only person that I knew that had this experience because I'm not dating. So she went on a date with a MGTOW guy, and let's just say that, or she was dating a MGTOW guy, and it just did not go well. And I mean, mind you, this is a young lady. She does not have any what they quote unquote call baggage. She's not a single mom. She has no baggage. And she went on a date with this guy. Like, he wouldn't pay for her, like, wouldn't pay for her drink, you know, wanted her to go 50-50, asked her what she brought to the table, kept talking about how he had baggage because he had an ex-wife and how his experiences with his ex-wife, you know, affected his current dating scene. And I'm just like, dude, first of all, men don't like to hear you talk about your exes. Why would we women want to hear you go on this whole long diatribe about your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend, or just, especially if you're just dating? Nobody wants to hear that. Like, I'm trying to get to know you. You know, leave your emotional baggage for a therapist or a psychiatrist and get some professional help. And then maybe if you get deeper in the relationship, you guys can kind of share those emotions and thoughts. But in my opinion, that guy had screwed himself out of a decent woman who quote unquote doesn't have any baggage. And a lot of these guys are taking this advice, and they're just going to screw themselves out of a good girl and a good woman that finally does come around, that they genuinely like, and that they genuinely should treat well. But I don't think I had anything else to say. And Demcad, I didn't know that you were single. Like, I don't know you very well, so I didn't want to assume things about you. But I think I don't want you to take this as I don't want you to take this the wrong way, what I'm about to say. But Demcat, if I was single and you were willing to go to the gym with me, then I would definitely give you a chance. If I was single and you were willing to go to the gym with me to work out, because I go to the gym and I'm trying to get in shape for SHTF, then I would definitely give you a chance to, you know what I'm saying, if you were interested. And honestly, you know, if I could find somebody for you, because I have some friends where, you know, they're not having any luck with guys. I mean, if I could introduce you to someone, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. But again, I don't know where you live, and I'm all the way here in Virginia. But that's just my personal opinion, because I think deep down inside, you are genuinely a good guy. And I just think that, you know, if you have any sort of hurt or pain inside of you, because I have hurt and pain inside of me from previous relationships, you gotta, you know, deal with that hurt and pain and kind of put it to the side, because that hurt and pain is going to prevent you from moving forward and finding another woman. But I mean, to me, it's just to find someone. Before I had a hard time finding someone, but you just got to work on yourself and, you know, try to be as happy as possible. I'm not sitting here trying to give you advice, but because I'm not a relationship guru, I don't know anything about that. But I do know what, as a woman, especially a woman who doesn't play games and is, you know, only if I were to date again and something were to happen with my current relationship, I would only be looking for something serious. And I wouldn't be playing games. And that's the other thing I forgot to mention. Sergeant Willie Pete. Let me tell you something about Sergeant Willie Pete. This man, if you go to his page, he made a video. And this video is called Stop Destroying His Chances. And I'm just like, Sergeant Willie Pete was a grown-ass man when I was in middle school. And he was a grown-ass man when I was in middle school. So he just keeps making these videos and these posts and complaining about women. But one of the videos and the pictures that he posted, this girl looked young. She looked like she couldn't have been she looked like she was like 16, 17, 18, maybe 19 years old. And I'm just like, dude, a lot of the stuff that you're complaining about when it comes to women, black women in particular, we do that stuff when we're young. Like, we do that stupid stuff when we're young, like wanting a thug. and then realizing as we get older, a thug is not going to pay the bills and take care of everything that we need taken care of, you know, rejecting guys, playing with guys. You do that in your young 20s. When you're young, you make mistakes like that, and that's expected to be young and make mistakes like that. But a lot of you guys are getting hurt in like elementary school, middle school, high school, even in your early 20s. And instead of understanding that that's what life is and that's how things go and that's how things happen, and when people are young, they do stupid stuff and they do mean things, then it's just what it is. Like me being 29 now, some of the stuff that guys did to me when I was younger, I was upset about it. But now that I'm older, I'm just like, a lot of those guys have probably matured and grown up, and a lot of the guys end up regretting some of the things that they did in their 20s. But that's just life. You have to understand that you're going to get hurt, and then it's going to hurt you, it's going to bother you, but you got to let it go. So when I see Sergeant Willie Pete just raging and putting a picture of a young girl up here, it's just like, leave these young girls alone. Like, let them make their mistakes, and leave these young guys alone. Let them make the mistakes. Like, what you're doing is, Sergeant Willie Pete has unresolved trauma and unresolved damage in his life, and he's just spreading it. Because for me to have been in middle school listening to Sergeant Willie Pete, and listening to these Manosphere people and Tommy Sotomayor and all of them, when I'm in my early 20s, it's like they have negatively affected even me coming up. And it wasn't until I hit the after 25 club when the gears in my brain started turning just a little bit better. But Kawaii, are you still there? My mod, are you still there? I don't know if you're still there. It said, okay, let me read some of your comments. Plenty of women down here. You don't want to go to Atlanta. Yeah, you don't want to go to Atlanta. You definitely don't want to go to Atlanta. Are more likely to be produced of negative outcomes for each other. I think we should encourage to better hold. One who sexually abuses a child should be executed. Absolutely. Sergeant Willie P is a bigot. Okay, I was just looking at all your comments, but I'm about to close this live out because it's been almost an hour. But I'm just gonna quickly just rehash everything that I said. So you guys already know that, I already talked about Demcad and that video I saw of him, and it just kind of concerned me. And then on top of that, I already talked to you guys about the manosphere, the incels, child support, and to close out, I'm gonna tell you guys something about Charles Tyler that I've never told anyone about. So, and the men that are going to Brazil and that are pursuing that movement. What I learned was I used to be in Charles Tyler's Facebook group, and the men were there to communicate with Brazilian women. And what had happened was those men have chased off the majority of the Brazilian women that were in the group, because the Brazilian women came to the group thinking these men were looking for wives. Well, what ended up happening was these men weren't looking for wives, they were looking for sex, and they were hounding and sexually harassing a lot of the Brazilian women that were in the group. So the Brazilian women had left the group, and there was only a small handful of them left. And I'll never forget when I actually talked to one of the Brazilian women and we actually hashed it up and chopped it up, that a lot of these men that go to these foreign countries, particularly the black men, one of the Brazilian women I spoke to, she told me that, the black men would tell them how horrible black women are and how terrible they are and how awful they are. But then as time went on, she started to wonder, after speaking with me and seeing how they were acting, he was like, well, maybe it's not the black women, maybe it's the men. Like, what are these men doing to cause these women to be like this after how they got treated? And I'll never forget a comment that somebody had left underneath Charles Tyler's YouTube page, which is still up. And if I really took the time to go on his page and look, I would probably be able to find it. But a Brazilian woman had commented on his page and said, you guys don't provide any infrastructure for your women. That's why your women are so bad like that. And you want to come to my country and ruin my country. And this is what a Brazilian woman had said. And another thing that I had saw that I wasn't supposed to hear is that I overheard a conversation on Skype between Charles Tyler and one of the men that he was working with. And this man flat out said that he was just going to Brazil so he could have as much sex as he wanted to, and that he wasn't looking for marriage, and he was looking to get like a really bad, sexy, attractive Brazilian woman, and that was just, marriage was not his goal. And a lot of them, from conversations that I've heard and things that I've witnessed, them going to Brazil, it's not about marriage. It's about sex. And, which of course, sex tourism is a thing. It's been a thing forever. But to disguise it as something as, you know, these guys are going here to get married, it's very deceptive. But I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say for today. I'm actually about to go to another live stream and listen to someone talk. But to finish out, again, guys, I really think these manosphere guys, all of them, have a class action lawsuit that's going to be coming their way. From some of the things that I'm seeing and some of the things that I have heard. And honestly, in my opinion, they should have had a full class action lawsuit a long time ago against them, especially if a lot of their followers have been giving people death threats, threatening people, harassing people, doxing people, women in particular, and also slandering and putting out information that isn't correct. So if anybody has any last remarks or any rebuttals, just put it in the comment section. I know this wasn't prepping related, but I just kind of felt like I should come on live and just kind of vent and talk about these things. Gamergate 7.8? Oh, 7.0. I've heard of that. I've heard of Gamergate. Wasn't the first Gamergate had to do with some sort of, I can't remember, but I've heard of it. Had to do with sexism, some woman complaining or something like that, saying she was being discriminated against or something like that. Let me see your comments here. Fallen Sky Prepper since 2018. Hi, Dark Lotus. How you doing? I'm just saying hi to everybody. Hi, Yahweh is on the way. Hello, Bug Out. Hello, Reg October. Hello, Greg. Hello, Lord M. Who else can I say hi to? Are you guys still there? You guys got quiet. But anyways, I'm referring to what you're talking about as the umpteenth iteration for what's been going on for years. It'll just in turn into another identity war that drives us all further apart. Yes, Fallen Sky Prepper, a lot of these young single guys need to take some advice from you on relationships and marriage instead of taking advice from somebody who's twice divorced and 55 years old, or somebody who has multiple baby mamas. Yeah. Good night, Yahweh is on the way. Yeah, Fallen Skies Prepper, that's people need to take advice from married people who've been married for like 20, 30 years and who are happily married, and not these random guys who are scorned and angry because they're not going to give them good advice. But anyways, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I think I said everything I wanted to say. I'm going to go follow another live.